Hello, Leedstown Academy Navigators. This is Mr. Sear, the seventh grade counselor, and I am going to talk to you today about electives for seventh grade. Um, your counselor, Mrs. Sims, will be in your classes to discuss this further, answer your questions, and help you choose your electives. But I'm going to take you through the process today. And I'm going to start by sharing some important information with you. So let's get started. Okay. So, in case you weren't aware, just as you did this year in sixth grade, you'll have one elective in seventh grade. Um, you get to pick it, and um, you will find that in seventh grade, there are many more electives open to you than there are in sixth grade. And that's pretty terrific. So when I show you the elective list, you will be impressed with how many electives you get to choose from. Um, there is a form that is necessary for you to select your elective. We call it the seventh grade elective selection form. It's a Google form. It is going to be or is right now in Mrs. Sims' Google Classroom, the deckhands. Um, I'm going to show it to you in a little bit so you know what it looks like. But here's the important thing. You must complete that form in order to choose your electives for seventh grade. If you do not, Mrs. Sims is going to choose your elective for you, and you will not be able to ask her to change your elective next year. Okay? The same was true this year in sixth grade, but it's especially important next year because you have so many elective choices. Um, as always, Mrs. Sims is going to try to give you your first choice for electives, but we can't ever guarantee that. That's why we need your top three choices so that if Mrs. Sims can't give you your first choice, she can look into your second choice. Okay, so those are some things to keep in mind. Um, Now, very quickly, I want to touch upon this. Electives are different than your program areas of study or your CTE programs or your magnet programs. Uh, all the same thing, just different names for them. Um, Next year in seventh grade, you will choose which CTE program of study you'd like to enter. As you may or may not be aware, as a seventh grader at Leedstown Academy, you must choose a program of study. We have three. They are architecture, construction, and technology, computer science and cybersecurity, and robotics and automation. You've not had any classes in these yet this year. You do have or did have design and modeling, which is an introductory course to give you an idea of the three areas. But for next year, you're going to choose a specific area that you're going to have a class in. So you'll have a class in your CTE program for seventh grade, and you'll have a class for your CTE program in eighth grade. So you're in that program for 2 years. Okay. And as I said, you'll choose that for seventh grade. Mrs. Sims is going to see you soon to have you choose your programs. That's another form that you need to fill out. Um, you need to understand that you cannot change your CTE programs. So if you choose computer science and cybersecurity, and you decide after a few months that you're just not feeling it, you cannot ask Mrs. Sims to move you to robotics. That's not going to happen. So choose your program carefully. Um, Need to let you know that the cutoff for each program is 200 students. So once Mrs. Sims has 200 students in a program, she can no longer accept more students in that program. Okay. So once again, you're going to give Mrs. Sims your three choices for your CTE programs. And if she can't put you in your first choice, she will put you in your second choice. And as with the electives, these are first come, first served. So if you want to make sure you get the CTE program that you really want, you got to make sure you complete that form early, well, on time. And as I said, she'll come to your classes to talk to you about CTE programs and share the form with you. I'm not going to do that today. Here's a description of each of the 3 CTE programs that we have at LEAD. I'm not going to read it to you. That's way too much for me to read to you right now, but you can look them up. But as I said, we have computer science and cybersecurity, robotics, automation and manufacturing, and architecture, construction, and technology. We call this CS, we call this RAM, and we call this program ACT. Okay? All right. Want to remind you, talking about electives, that each of the electives that you can choose from for 7th grade, they're all 1 year long. We do not have any semester long electives in 7th grade. You did this year, okay, in 6th grade, many of you, but next year, nobody has a semester long elective. All of our electives are for the full year. Same is true in 8th grade, too. This is not a situation where you can pick an elective, and if you're not feeling it, you can ask Mrs. Sims to move you. No, we don't try out electives at Lead STEM Academy. You choose an elective, you stay in that elective for the whole school year. I mean, it's the same as your English class or your math class, your science class, your social studies class next year. You don't get to try it out and then move to a different class. Some of the electives that you can choose from do require an application. Okay. You will get that application from the teacher. All right. Mrs. Sims will send the names of the students that ask for those particular electives to those teachers. And then those teachers will send those students the applications. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide, but I wanted to give you a preview. So some of the classes that require, one of the classes that requires an application is media production, sometimes called broadcast. And that's with Ms. Schoenbeck. They make the morning announcements. A class that requires permission would be a performing arts course, any of the performing arts course, such as band, our new percussion class, orchestra, and choir is included in that too. You will notice as a 7th grader that next year you are allowed to work as a student aide. That's one of the electives you can choose. I'd like to make this very clear for all of the counselors that you are expected to be on your best behavior as a student aide. Okay, we do not have student aides who are mouthy or skipping class or getting in fights all the time or swearing in the hallways, cussing in the hallways. You cannot be a student aide if that's the type of behavior that you display. Okay. If you are a student aide and we see you or hear about you displaying that kind of behavior, Mrs. Sims is going to move you. You're going to go to a completely different class, and you will not have a say in what class that's going to be. So please, if you're applying to be a student aide, make sure that you understand your behavior needs to be the best on campus. Mrs. Sims wants you also to know that she's not going to place you in a class so that you can be with your friends. That is not a legitimate reason to ask to be moved to a particular class or to be put in a specific elective so that you can be with your friends. So don't even try. Okay, so I told you there are a lot more electives open to you in 7th grade, and here they are. We have 3 basic categories of electives. We have the fine and performing arts, we have the foreign language electives, and we have the miscellaneous electives. So let's start with fine and performing arts. As a 7th grader, you can be placed in either intermediate or advanced. Art, band, choir, guitar, orchestra, and our new course, percussion ensemble. In order for you to be placed in those classes, you must be recommended by the teacher. Okay? So if you did not take one of those classes this year in 6th grade and you'd like to be considered for a class in the performing arts next year in 7th grade, you need to get in touch with the teacher. They may want you to audition. In the case of band and choir and guitar and orchestra, those teachers will probably want you to audition for them, which means play your instrument or sing. And then they can decide where you belong, whether it's intermediate or advanced. If you'd like to be placed in art, you can show your artwork to Miss Tarwater, and then she could let Mrs. Sims know which level of art she wants you in. Okay, so that's really important. Let's talk about the foreign language classes. As a seventh grader, you can take French 1 or Spanish 1. These are high school credit courses, ladies and gentlemen, high school credit courses. That means that whatever grade you earn in these classes is going to follow you to high school. Okay? It's going to be on your high school transcript. So Mrs. Sims is very choosy about who goes into those classes. All right? Most likely she's going to see how you did or are doing this year in your intro to foreign language class. So you're in either intro to Spanish or intro to French. If you'd like to continue in that language, Mrs. Sims is going to look at your current grade. If you're not cutting it in that intro class, there is no way she's going to place you in a high school credit foreign language class. That's just not right. And she could be setting you up for failure, because if you do bomb these courses and get a D or an F on your transcript, the only way to remove that D or F is to retake the entire course. So we're not fans of that. None of us are, none of the counselors. So Mrs. Sims is going to make sure that you belong in that class before she puts you in it. Okay? Finally, we've got our miscellaneous courses, and you can see them there: creative writing and drama, poetry. Those courses, there's nothing special to be placed in those classes. You just ask for it. Make it your number one choice, and Mrs. Sims will do her best to get you in there. Now, let's talk about those courses that require applications, which I touched upon earlier. So there they are: competition robotics, media production, publications, and student aid. Each of those courses requires you to complete an application that will be sent to you by the teacher. If you do not complete the application, you will not be placed in the course. So if Mr. Morel, he's in charge of competition robotics, if he sends you the application and you really want to be on the competitive robotics team, you need to complete that application. If you don't finish it, he's not going to recommend you for that class. Okay? Media production and publications, those classes are both taught by Ms. Schoenbeck. And my understanding is she has a paper copy of the application. I don't know exactly how she's going to work it. Mr. Morel will email it to you. I think Ms. Schoenbeck will just let you know that you can come pick one up from her room. Okay? But don't go to her room until she gets your name from Mrs. Sims. And then student aid, that application will come from our colleague, Mrs. Murray. She's the 8th grade counselor. She's in charge of student aids. So you will get your application from Mrs. Murray, and she will email it. And the applications usually go out towards the end of the school year, maybe around like early to mid-May, I would say, is when those applications are going to be distributed. So if you want to be in one of those 4 courses, make sure you complete that application. Okay. Oops. All right. So Mrs. Sims has posted the 7th grade elective selection form on her Canvas page. I'm going to show you today and walk you through the teacher version of the form. The version you're going to see on the Canvas page is a little different than what I'm going to show you, because you're going to see what the teachers see, what the counselors see on their form. So you're going to see everything. If I was to use the form that's in Mrs. Sims' Canvas page, I wouldn't be able to show you everything. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you everything. So if you're watching this on your own, you can click on the link and it'll take you to the form. But what I'm going to do is just go right to the form myself. Okay. So here it is. It is the Lead STEM Academy 2022-2023 7th grade course selection form. And as I said, it's a Google form. So you start with your email address. You put your first name, you put your last name, you put your student number. Here's an explanation of the courses that you will take in 7th grade. You will notice you have a history class. You don't have history in 6th grade, but you are going to have it in 7th grade. Okay, right here is just an explanation of everything I've been talking about. Basically, Mrs. Sims is going to try to give you your first choice. If she can't give you your first choice, then she will try to give you your second choice. Okay? So, all right. Here is the list of available electives. Yours is going to be a pull down menu. Okay. As I said, this is the teacher version. So you're going to see everything. So what you're going to do in your pull down menu is you're going to pick the elective that you want and you're going to click on it. And as you can see, they're all in alphabetical order. You will notice, though, that Cyber Patriot is not available as an elective. So when you view the form, you will not see Cyber Patriot or Future Cities. Neither one of those is available. They are no longer courses that are offered at LEAD. So don't look for those. But the rest, oh yeah, digital journalism, no. Okay, so there will be some changes. But, most of what you see is going to be there. So pick the 3 classes that you want the most in the order that you want them. So first choice, second choice, third choice. While we're talking, let me get rid of these. Okay. And Cyber Patriot. So you're going to pick the 3 that you want in the order that you'd like them. Okay. And then I missed one. There it is. Okay. And then if you're interested in joining leadership with Miss Blakemore, you can click here to indicate that you'd like to be considered for leadership. Leadership is the group of students who are responsible for our dances and our spirit days. You might see them every morning around, I don't know, about 7:50. They come out of Miss Blakemore's room every morning and they come and join the Blue Line. They're always busy. They meet every morning. It's an early bird class. So if that's something you're interested in, you can click on yes, and Mrs. Blakemore will take a look at, your grades and your behavior record because she only wants the tip-top students in leadership. Mrs. Sims would like your parents and guardians to take a look at your elective choices, okay, so that they can approve. So here's a little statement about that. This section talks about the classes that you need to pass in middle school. Basically, you got to pass them all. Okay, and then Mrs. Sims is looking for your signature and your parents' signature right here. Okay, so you put your signature. What basically you type in your answer. Type in your name, and then your parent can type in their name. Here's Mrs. Sims' contact information. If you're talking to your parents, please have them include their email address. Okay. If they don't give you their email address, then you could just, repeat your email address. And then when you're done, there will be a submit button at the bottom, which I don't have because this is a teacher version. You click the submit button and you're good to go. Okay, so that's the form. Once your form is complete, Mrs. Sims will get a printout of everybody's elective choices, and she will use that to build your schedules for 7th grade. So that, deckhands, is an explanation of how we choose our electives at Lead STEM Academy. As I said, Mrs. Sims is going to visit your classes and answer your questions and have you complete this in front of her. So best of luck to you. Enjoy the rest of 6th grade, and I will see you around. Take care.